having now the incredible honor of introducing and actually introducing an icon. How do you like that, Warren? Legendary, talented, charming, charismatic. Charismatic? Do you like that? It's tough to find the right words to introduce a man who has won the Writers Guild of America Award for Best Screenplay 3 times. And those aren't the only awards he's won, by a long shot. The son of a drama teacher, Warren always seemed to possess a certain magic. At Washington Lee High School in Arlington, Virginia, he was a top football player and president of his class. While in high school, he landed his first job in show business, stagehand at the National Theater in Washington, D.C. His responsibilities included preventing any rats from entering the building. After high school, he went on to Northwestern University, but he left after a year to move to New York City, focused on becoming an actor. He studied with famed teacher Stella Adler. In 1959, he made his Broadway debut in A Loss of Roses. In 1961, he made his film debut in Splendor in the Grass. At 29, Warren helped reinvent the film industry with 1967's Bonnie and Clyde, in which he starred and also produced. It was an independent movie long before indie entered the filmmaking vocabulary. The film was nominated for 10 Academy Awards. Movies have not been the same since. After Bonnie and Clyde, Warren co-wrote and produced Shampoo in 1975, which was nominated for 4 Academy Awards. In 1978, he produced, directed, wrote, and starred in the movie Heaven Can Wait, which was nominated for 9 Academy Awards. In 1981, he received the Oscar for Best Director for Reds, the epic chronicling the journalist John Reed and the development of the left in America from 1915 to 1920. It received 12 Academy Award nominations. In 1990, he directed Dick Tracy, which was nominated for 7 Academy Awards. Where are all these awards, Warren? A year later, he produced Bugsy, which was nominated for 10 Academy Awards. In 1992, he married Annette Bening. They have 4 children. In 2000, Warren joined the select group of Hollywood legends who have received the Academy's highest honor, the Irving G. Thalberg Award, which honors creative producers whose bodies of work reflect a consistently high quality of motion picture production. He received the American Film Institute's highest award, the Life Achievement Award, and the Cecil B. DeMille Award from the Hollywood Foreign Press. He was given the Kennedy Center honor for his lifetime contribution to American culture. Last week, the New York Times called him, quote, easily the most politically active of his generation of actors, unquote. He has campaigned with Democrats since 1968, advocating gun control, campaign finance reform, greater equity in the delivery of health care, and addressing the increasing disparity of wealth. He once said, since I've been lucky enough to have an unusual amount of access since my early 20s, I've always thought it's a shame not to use it to learn from those in power, and then with humility and civility, irate, agitate, inform, and even once in a while encourage them with unsolicited advice. I was taught that good public policy was do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I was taught love one another was the point. Since the start of his film career in 1961, Warren Beatty has been nominated for 15 Academy Awards. Twice he's been nominated as an actor, director, writer, and producer of the same film, Reds and Heaven Can Wait. Orson Welles is the only other person to share that distinction, and for Welles it happened once, for Citizen Kane. By his own measure, Warren has achieved the California dream. As he says, you've achieved success when you don't know whether what you're doing is working or playing. The state of California honors Warren Beatty for expanding the cinematic landscape and for entertaining and enlightening audiences all over the world for over 50 years.
Nicely done. Thank you. This is a great honor for me, and since I'm last and I don't have anybody else to introduce, I think I should obey the edict of Mr. Roosevelt, as in Franklin D., and be sincere, be brief, and be seated. But somehow I always get tempted at things like that, and you got to hold me back because I will attempt to be funny. And when you're talking about, I never knew your grandfather because he passed away the year before I got to Hollywood. But I knew Jack Warner. I got to know him very well, and I can't resist telling some stories. The first one would be inappropriate, and you can just eat your heart out because I don't know you well enough. But that was the moment I met Jack Warner, and he was funny. But I thought he kind of knew who I was, and I had made a picture called Splendor in the Grass, and I thought I was a big deal, and we were on a sound stage at Warner's, and there were lots and lots of exhibitors and people and a big audience, and he was going to introduce me. And he came to the moment. I was a little nervous, and he said, "And now I would like to present to you Warner Beaker." And I was a little bit put aside, but somehow it had an emotional resonance for me. So years later, I named the company Beaker. But the story I like the most about Jack Warner was, by now I'm still scared of him, but he does know who I am, and I'm going to do Bonnie and Clyde, and he's telling me a lot of stuff, and he's being very tough. And I say, well, I don't really agree with you about this, and I don't know about that. And he said, wait a minute. It's my name on the water tower, There's a big water tower outside, for fire. And I took a gamble. I stood up, I said, oh yeah? And I walked over to the window and I just kind of hoped. And I turned to him and I said, yeah, but it's my initials. And he was a lot of fun, and he was smart. And so then he came into where I was working on Bonnie and Clyde, and there were, he said, let me see what you got. And so I showed, it was just one scene of Rushes where Gene Hackman and I did what seemed like 20,000 takes because there was a filter that had gone wrong. And Jack said, why would you do that? He said, Bogey never would have done that. Why would you do a thing like that, do that many takes? And I said, well, there was a filter. No, don't tell me about a filter problem. And it was, why did you do that? I said, well, we were just trying to do a good job. He said, okay. And he leaves. As he's walking up the steps, just before he got out of the door, he turned back to me and he says, kid, if you listened to me, you'd make nothing but flops. He was a lot of fun. So I can't help when I am in the presence of our governor reminding him, I don't know how often I have reminded you of this. I'm talking about Ghirardelli Square. Do you know where I'm going with this? Excuse me? Yeah, it's a what? No. I go back with this governor 41 years. I go back so far with this governor of California that I thought, since he preferred Muskie sort of to McGovern, I thought maybe he's a right-winger. Do you remember sitting in the Beverly Wilshire and we're talking about Muskie and McGovern? This is 70 or 71. Yeah? And anyway, I like to tell the story in Ghirardelli Square. I was there to introduce him. I can't remember, honestly, whether we were running for president or governor. I really don't remember. Because I was there for each of the campaigns. But I mean, I was really there. And there was a young campaign aide. Ghirardelli Square was filled, and there was just going to be our governor and me on the stage, and the young campaign aide, a young man named Gray Davis, came back and said, we can't do it, we can't do it, we've got to stop, we've got to stop. And I said, what's the problem? He said, there's a guy with a gun in the crowd. And I thought, okay, me and Jerry, we're going to be there. And so what do we do? Jerry said, well, come on, let's go. And we went out. But I always thought, he's a courageous guy, but I got to introduce him, you know? And anyway, I could go through a lot of funny stories with...
But your time's up, I think.
I think my time is up. Yeah. So I won't do that. I can switch to the Reagan stories if you'd like them. I got a lot. I have Pat Brown stories. I go back. I have You Can Only Imagine Arnold stories, and so I will refrain from that. I think the governor's having some thoughts here. So I won't do it, except I do have to say this, that I think the governor of our state is the most qualified chief executive in the United States. He's had more experience, and he is more, I've known a lot of, I've had access because I became famous early. So I've had access to pretty much everybody since 1960. I've known many politicians. I like to think I knew them all, but I have never known a more valid, more, anyone to be more of the real deal than Governor Jerry Brown. With the possible exception of Annette Bening, who is sitting right here. So I can't tell you how honored I feel being asked to come here and be part of this group of heavyweights. So thank you very, very much.